slowed down now. I figured it had been an extremely lucky shot to avoid crippling me or causing me to bleed out down here. Adam ripped off a piece of his t-shirt and made an impromptu bandage, tightening it with knots. We heard more footsteps behind us, and all three of us found huge stalagmites to hide behind, peeking out in the subtle glow of the cave.
What is it? Hey, can you let me in?
Sure thing.
Close it. Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1, action. I'll see you guys in more than the gas. See you then. Another day. Press progress.
We saw a few of the faceless humanoids pass us by. One wearing an expensive black suit, and the other two wearing hiking clothing and windbreakers. Their faceless heads seemed to ripple, expanding and contracting. As I wondered if it was a result of them breathing through their skin, I wondered just what they were in fact. Mary nodded at us to keep going forward, and we did. I could hear shrieks ahead of us. Looking around a bend in the cave, I saw two middle-aged men trying to fight off the faceless monsters. One of them had a pistol.
Humans.
He raised it to the chest of one of them, blowing its heart out. The monster fell back, but another one grabbed him from behind, and the other living monster quickly knocked out the second man. And then the two monsters worked in tandem, one reaching out to the conscious man's chest, his fingers gently touching the fabric of his shirt, and then with unimaginable strength, began to pull the man's skin and bones apart. The man shrieked, but the other monster had his arms pinned behind his back too tightly for him to fight back. Soon, they had his heart out of his chest, and the man's head had slumped to the side. One of the monsters put it up to its blank head. The head appeared to split open in the middle, thousands of tiny black lamprey teeth showing for a moment as he ate the man's heart. They let the man's body fall to the side, and the other monster repeated the process with the unconscious man, eating his heart as well. And then they continued forward, the only remaining sign of their passing being three bodies with massive holes in the chest. Mary, Adam, and I began to move forward again. Countless footsteps were now approaching from behind, and we all began to run as fast as we could. Soon the cave system ended, and we came out in an ancient oak forest. The two monsters were waiting for us there, and Adam and I walked forward attacking. I quickly dispatched mine, but the one attacking Adam was too quick. The monster had gotten behind Adam and was about to grab him by the neck when Mary had jumped in, stacking her dagger into the spot where the abomination's face should have been. It gave an ear-splitting shriek as its head opened up and it fell back. Dozens more monsters from the cages to reach the end of the cave. We all ran for our lives. This way, Mary trailed, and we found an ancient stone cellar with a heavy door attached. We all got in and found that it had a latch to lock it from the inside. Adam stuck his mace through the latch just as a monster had approached from the outside, beginning to smash at it. I heard dozens of more footsteps from all around us, and I knew that we were surrounded. Well, this is it, I said, sitting down and sighing. There's no getting out of this one. We can't fight off all of them out there. Mary sat down too, humming to herself, but I noticed that tears were now flowing down her face. Adam only grinned at me, taking his backpack off. Did you forget? Adam asked. I grabbed that book when we first got in here. I told you guys my instincts were screaming at me to take it. pulled the large, ancient tome out with the title, The Angel of Death, written on the front. Drops of blood constantly dropped out the front of it. The voice of Set began to vibrate and reverberate around us. Will you give your souls yet, friends? He asked.
Do it.
There's no need for all of you to die like sheep led to the slaughter.
You have
For
no
I am
choice,
the good
humans.
shepherd, and I hate to see my sheep ripped apart by the wolves. He laughed at this. Adam ignored the voice coming from nowhere and everywhere and opened
Oh,
the
you're
door.
fucked. You all
The
will
pages were
die
blank at first.
in
The
that
text,
place.
written in blood, began to appear.
You chosen your
The book
fate.
was upside down from my
And
point of
that's
view, but
to
Adam
die.
quickly read it, frowning. Mary, let me see the knife, Adam said, putting out his hand. Mary handed it over. According to the book, all I need to do is say a prayer and carve this name in my arm, and this thing will come to us and save us all. The door to the stone cellar
What
began to
thing?
shake more violently, as more bodies seemed to show up by the minute. You better hurry up then, I said to him. We don't have much time until those things break through. Fools,
Another one.
the voice of Set screamed. You should not open that book. Do you wish to bring the Watcher to your world? The Watcher will kill the sun, destroy the moon, blot out every star. The Watcher does not care at all for your lives. He continued to ramble, but we all ignored it, and Adam began the ritual. The poem appeared in red on the pages, and he began to read it, holding the knife over his left arm. An old man dies, a newborn breathes, the bugs feast, the infection cease. Winter enters and never leaves, the lone dissenter lives and deceives. The angel of death arises again, the eternal cycle of a bloody reign. As he read the last stanza, he also cut the name Israel into his left arm, wincing for a moment as the sharp knife did its work. And then he held his arm above his head, the blood trickling down, forming and reforming into large and larger rivulets, and then turned sharply and aimed directly at his heart. As soon as the first drop had reached the center of his chest, appearing to defy gravity as it rolled down and back up his chest, an amazing and horrible thing started to happen. Adam's eyes began to emanate a soft, glowing white light, and he began to float above the ground. Behind him, I saw dozens of visions of his floating body splitting off, as if I was looking into a mirror image reflected into another mirror image.
Pause it. See you in the morning, I guess. Another day. Push play.
The dozens kept going until it looked like hundreds, and then millions, and then eternity, disappearing into a point at the horizon. Each of the
I'm not
bodies
born.
began to
I'm born
fade
for
in and out,
damning.
and then eyes
Shit.
started to come into view, swarming and morphing all over these countless bodies. Soon I couldn't see anything that once had been Adam. His entire body was covered in soft, glowing white eyes that stared out in all directions at once. And then the billions of eyes on the eternal bodies all turned to me at once, and I felt an impending sense of terror and doom of an intensity that I had never imagined possible. Who calls on me? A soft voice said from everywhere and nowhere at once. It slightly shook the walls and floor.
Humans.
I tried to look away, but I couldn't. The eternal copies of Adam's body all collapsed into one in a single moment. And I was back to
Humans.
staring at the spot where Adam's body had been. The endless hallway of mirror images disappearing instantly.
Disgusting.
Mary stood up, backing away to the very edge of the cellar. I knew that I had to answer, even though all those staring eyes seemed to bring me to the brink of madness.
Hi,
We need your help, Azrael, I said.
humans.
The angel laughed as the door began to splinter. I could see claws and hands reaching through, feeling around for what held it shut. One of them began to sneak close to the mace and shake it loose. "And why would I help you?" he asked, the voice seeming to shake the ground with every syllable. "Because," I said, pointing, "Set has released those things to kill your host. And without a host, I have a feeling that you'll be going back to whatever otherworldly prison you came from." The eyes of the angel all turned towards the door as the mace fell out and the door swung open. Dozens of monsters began to pour in.
Well then, Mary's where I
The
help
floating
you
angel
again.
laughed at this, raising his arms. Huge thorns and spikes began to shoot out of the leaves and dirt, wrapping around each of the monsters and then dragging them into the ground. Within seconds, their screams had all ceased. No one stood there. From behind me, I heard another deeper voice. Set's fiery eyes were embedded into the stone wall and he stepped out, his black poisonous body appearing at once. He and the angel of death stared at each other for a long moment. Mary grabbed my arm and we began to back out of the stone cellar. As we got to the threshold, Set raised one arm, and the ceiling began to collapse on Ezreal. Massive blocks of stone fell on his head, and within seconds he was buried. The cacophony of the collapsing structure made my ears ring, and Mary and I began to sprint blindly ahead. As I looked back, I saw the stones go flying up in the air, Ezreal floating up from the place where the stone cellar had stood. Set was also flying, glancing down at his enemy with hatred. Ezreal raised an ethereal hand, and a huge oak tree was ripped out of the ground and went flying in Set's direction. He easily blocked it, flying higher into the forest and letting it pass harmlessly underneath them. Up ahead, I saw a hatchway in the middle of the forest. It didn't look like it belonged, but I knew that we had to find somewhere to hide. As Set and Azrael fought, I ran up to it, opening it, and what I saw astonished me. I was looking down into the hatchway, but on the other side, I was looking up through the spot next to where Adam and I had parked my car. I looked back and saw Azrael and Set throwing fire and lava at each other, setting the forest alight around them. I nodded at Mary and she jumped through without hesitation, and then I followed. It was a disorienting experience, going down through the hatchway only to find myself crawling up out of a secret dirt door a few feet in front of my car. As soon as I was out, the door slammed shut behind me, and it turned back in flat dirt. I looked around and saw that there was no longer a gas station there, just endless trees. I brought Mary to the hospital and then I went home, wrapping up my own wounds with a first aid kit. I didn't know what to do about Adam. After washing and sleeping, I decided to go to the police station the next day and report Adam missing. I told them that I had brought him home from work, but that I hadn't been able to get in contact with him since then. They ignored my report, saying that if he still hadn't shown up in a couple more days, then I should come back. I have a feeling that I will likely never see him again. His sacrifice allowed Mary and me to escape that horrid place, however. I hope that he's still alive somewhere, and that maybe he will find a way out, just like we did. But whenever I sleep now, I hear Adam screaming. In my dreams, he always has pure white irises and pupils, and he always looks around with terror, asking where he is. Behind him, I see an eternal sky covered in ethereal, glowing eyes. I looked out the window as the sun set over an endless sea of clouds floating below, looking every bit like I was sailing on my way to heaven. But inside the plane was a different story. I was sitting in premium economy class. Translation, the cattle car with around an extra inch of legroom. As I glanced longingly up the aisle toward the first class section, a man who looked like he weighed easily 350 if not 400 pounds plopped into the seat next to me. I took a deep sigh. When he finally squeezed his way into the seat, he looked at me and smiled sheepishly. I'm sure that he was just as embarrassed as I was, and sure that I would regret having the window seat when the horrible time came that I had to go to the bathroom. I was really wishing now that I had tried to get the company to spring for first class, but they wouldn't hear any of it. Premium economy was as high as they would go. I guess I see where their top salesman ranks. Okay, maybe not the top salesman, but I do sell some. I tried to settle in beside my new best buddy, knowing that it was going to be the longest 9-hour flight of my life. I spent the first hour trying in vain to get some work done on my laptop, but that was when my bladder betrayed me. I tried to ignore it and keep working for another half hour, but then it was time. I got an emergency notice from down below. Go to the bathroom or go in your pants. I surrendered and began the long process of trying to wake up the guy next to me. I nudged him and then pushed him, and then I pinched him. Finally, he roused from his slumber like a sleeping dragon. Are we there already? He said, yawning. Oh, no, sorry. I have to use the bathroom, I said. Well, can't you hold it? He said. My mind ran down a list of expletives and different remarks that I would have loved to answer with. But in the end, I went with the one most likely not to get me eaten when I eventually tried to sleep. No, I can't hold it for another 7+ hours, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. He grunted and began the long process of getting out, as my bladder screamed for mercy. Finally, he stood and stepped into the aisle, knocking the hat off of the person sitting in front of us. Hey, watch it, bud, the man said. The man stepped aside and pointed at me as I tried to get around him to rush back towards the restroom. Both doors said, occupied. I tried the first door just to be sure. Someone's in here, a woman's voice sing-songed. I tried the second one. Can't you read? Came an irritated voice from inside the room. It's occupied. I stood there and endured the pain of an overfull bladder, having no other choice. I looked around to see if there was a garbage can with an empty soda bottle, but there wasn't. Just when I was sure my bladder was about to explode, I heard the latch open and a large man stepped out of the bathroom. He glared at me. You got a problem with letting people use the John in peace? Nope, I said as I dodged past him and into the bathroom. I whipped around and I latched the door. Hey, the man said from the other side. I wasn't done talking to ya. I ignored him as he pounded on the door. I was too busy relieving myself to pay attention until I heard, well, I'll be waiting out here for ya. Great, I thought. Now some good old boy wants to kick my butt. I finished and I was about to flush when I paused and said, maybe I can wait him out. I put the seat down and I sat. After a while, I looked at my watch and it had been about 10 minutes. Surely he would have been gone by now. I reached for the latch when I heard the other door open. Excuse me, ma'am, I heard him say as the woman in the other bathroom walked by. He was waiting, and I was sure that it wasn't to say that he understood my urgency and wanted to apologize for taking so long. I sat back down and I contemplated my options. First, sit here for the rest of the flight. Second, go out and get my butt kicked. I didn't like either option. The plane suddenly rocked so hard that I was thrown against the wall. I saw stars. It took me a minute to recover and stand to go see what had happened, when I was thrown against the wall again. This time, I nearly lost consciousness. I cautiously reached for the door handle when the third time was the charm. I hit the wall and the lights went out. I woke to cold water
Number
slapping
one.
me in the face. I thought that I had fallen asleep and it was a stewardess waking me up, but the reality was much worse. There was water in the room, and I'm not talking about a puddle on the floor. I'm talking about water halfway to the ceiling. I had my own pool for the first time in my life. Instant panic had set in. Had a water pipe burst? Had I bumped the sink before I went unconscious and I flooded the room? I didn't want to be responsible for the carpet cleaning cost. I reached for the door and tried to open it, but it was stuck. Was the big guy leaning against it, trying to teach me a lesson about being impatient? I pushed again and it gave a little. I planted my feet against the toilet and I shoved with all my might. Finally, the door came open. My worst nightmare couldn't be as bad as what I saw. There was water everywhere. The seats were covered and there was only a few feet of open air from the top of the seats to the ceiling of the plane. I saw heads bobbing above the water. I sloshed through and saw people still in their seatbelts unconscious. I unfastened those closest to me and saw that they had life preservers around their necks. I looked around for one for myself. I glanced over and there was the man next to me, still fastened into his seat, not moving. I shook him, but he didn't respond. I unfastened his seatbelt, but he was so wedged in he couldn't get a float out. I struggled to release him, but I realized that he hadn't moved the entire time. I checked for a pulse, but he was gone. I pulled the life preserver over his head and I put it on my own. I looked up the aisle and saw many more heads bobbing. I also saw that the water had risen. Panic gripped me and I told myself that I was about to drown. I started swimming my way toward the front, hoping to find the emergency exit. On the way, I unlatched as many seatbelts as I could. All the passengers looked like they were unconscious, but just in case. I made it to the emergency door and I tried to open it. It was harder to open than the bathroom door. I pushed with all of my might and it barely budged. I wish that I had that big angry guy with me right about now, but I was the only one that I had seen moving. A few of the passengers that I had released had floated toward me, but their eyes remained closed. For what seemed like hours, I struggled to open the emergency door to no avail. I had paused to take a breather when I heard a horrible sound. It was like a screeching and a stretching of something inhuman, like a monster in its death throes. I looked around, trying to find the source of this horrible sound when I noticed the ceiling had begun to split apart above me. The screeching sound got louder as the water level rose. The front and back of the plane seemed to be taking on more water, and I was standing right in the middle of it. The water level rose as the crack grew, and my feet no longer touched the floor. The water had risen so high that my life preserver was floating me up towards the ceiling. The problem was, the ceiling was full of jagged edges, waiting to rip me to shreds. I rose, unable to stay down, going straight toward the sharp metal and plastic. Suddenly, the plane ripped in two, pulling the edges of the two sides away from me and shooting me up to the surface of the water. While the plane was dragged toward the bottom of the ocean, I bobbed up and down on the ocean waves in a huge passenger plane. I looked around, but it was dark, and all I could see were stars and a thumbnail moon. I swished the water with my hand, moving in a circle, but I couldn't see anything. The sea was pitch black with only a shimmer of moonlight reflecting off of it. I focused on the shimmer, hoping to see something. A boat, a buoy, anything that might be in the water that could rescue me. After a while, I was about to give up when I saw something pass through the shimmer. It wasn't there for long, and it wasn't very far from me. I started swimming toward it when Tara stayed as still as possible.
Number one.
My blood froze, even though the water wasn't that cold else was, and I had no desire to become a snack. As these thoughts
I'm not
raced
born,
through my
yo.
mind, making me want to jump out of the water and run toward the land, cartoon style, I felt something touch my leg. My body involuntarily made use of the endless bathroom that I was floating in.
Which was
I didn't
TikTok.
move. I used
Human
every ounce
TikTok
of it.
anyway. Why not? Go back here, not Instagram. Here we are, TikTok. Here. Gang. Next.
Oh my god!
What is it, human?
Oh my god! This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom.
It's not the carrot. It's some kind of world-destroying weapon.
What is going on? Australians are actually a different breed. What is wrong with
I'm gonna say it. They're gonna fuck this up because they're gonna make fucking Harry Potter and it's gonna piss me the fuck off. I said it. They're gonna make one of these black and it's just we're trying to have inclusion. We want to include everybody. Didn't ask for this, bro. We didn't ask for this. Fucking Harry Potter's gonna be mixed. Hermione's gonna be black. Ron's gonna be gay. Snape's gonna be trans. I don't want none of this in this. Keep this shit how it is. I'm gonna be on Twitter and I'm gonna be one of them niggas trying to cancel this shit and saying how it affects my childhood. And you affected my son's childhood too. You think I'm gonna send him to school where we got a black Harry Potter? I'm gonna say it. They're gonna fuck this up because
I heard about fucking Velma. You know, the series. And I did not agree with it. I'm not human. Well, we should be human, but you know what I mean. Shit. I don't like humans, but I can understand where they're coming from.
I'm gonna jump off this ledge that I would normally die from, but I'm gonna activate my spring boots last second. Hold on. Spring boots activate. Hold on.
Someone recently sent me a video of what they believe is a biblically accurate angel. Now, the video definitely could just be edited, but I want you to check it out and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll also put a link in my bio to what.
Alright, live.
I found a dog at the river.
Ladies, if you reject a good heart, what code is hidden in this mysterious sculpture?
It's best for you to not find out, human.
I think someone's looking at you.
Mysteries for you guys are best to be not shown.
Puts his head on.
What's pink? Wet.
Alright, so there's a lot of people talking about the new trans spokesperson for Bud Light beer, Dylan Mulvaney.
The
I'm
U.S.
not
government
born.
has officially lost its mind. Louis DeFranco recently pointed out that
Senator Rand Paul actually just made a really good point.
Every accusation of data gathering that's been
it's not just Rand Paul who's starting to make sense.
You know, when he passed, it's like, I remember him, saying,
Never forget the time Gordon was.
what we're gonna go with this time.
Let's stay up or not.
shit. Man, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rough.
Look, man.
If we only forced the sons of millions.
On today's episode of Clown Hard.
Boy just entered the lobby. Yes, sir. I know.
Hey, you have a control that, right? Can I get one?
I'm not born.
Yeah, I got you.
How did you have?
Unlimited. Here, you want one too? Boom, chinchilla.
Hey, you have a control that, right? Can I get one?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I got you.
How did you have?
These new pictures of Ariana Grande have fans extremely concerned. The fans recently saw this new picture of Ariana Grande, and after seeing the picture, they think that she needs help immediately. Many fans are saying things like they can't even recognize her. She's getting smaller and smaller every single picture they see of her, and a lot of fans are saying that she looks sick. Now they're saying this because in every single recent picture of Ariana Grande, it looks like she's losing more and more.
You think Snoop Dogg is a rat? Look at the camera. Cause Snoop Dogg got an order of protection on Suge Knight. And Suge Knight calls my phone every other week. What you mean he got an order of protection? He got an order of
Clark, are you okay?
Nope. Evan Gandhi?
past that.
Hmm.
Ready, man? Party people, it's the place to be. It's about that time. Yeah, what you know about going out? Head west, red legs, TVs, all up in the headrest. Try and lift it up, ride through a bigger truck, beats all with it up. Single kid, nigga, what? Jig with a cut, shit.
These are Florida rap lyrics. They really happened. And let's start with a bar from Fulio's Beatbox remix. Cause he says, Corbin got kidnapped. They found his bones.
Do women feel bad after they treat you like shit? Honestly, no, they don't. In reality, they laugh with their friends about the things that they do to you, and they gossip to their friends.
I wish I could sleep, but then my stupid.
Born to Die.
Can I ask you a question? This is just hypothetical.
Miss me, miss me. Can you just turn me that way? Oh, yeah, anyway, they need to fight. Right here. Are you looking at me? No. Look straight. I am. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Sir, can you bring me to the road, please? Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm not hurt. Nah. Why are you looking at me? I'm not.
Police find a tunnel inside
Police find a
KFC
tunnel
and
inside
stop
KFC
cold when they
and
realize
stop
who's
cold
on the
when
other
they
side.
realize who's on the other side.
Fun fact, an Italian mafia hitman who was on the run for 16 years has recently been discovered and arrested in France running an Italian restaurant. Edgardo Greco vanished in 2006.
What would it be like for a boy from a civilian area to find out that he has a gangster grandmother? She would take him to crazy rifle training.
Don't get cocky, baby. You're already dead. Now go again.
Take you to a gangster party without saying anything.
Watch your back in there, baby. Manny's crew have always been a bunch of real scumbags.
Jack had 4 muscular gangster uncles, and the most hardcore of them were planning to rob a military base of $1 million in cash. The 4 of them pretended to go to a shooting competition to smoothly sneak into the military base. Before that, Jack's mother arranged a task for Jack to scout out the route to the military base because he was the only one in the family with no criminal record. Thus, Jack's uncles successfully entered the military warehouse and systematically opened the packaging to reveal several $1 billion in cash. After taking out some cash, they took out the...
Well, it's official. It looks like that the lesbian, gay, and bisexual wanting to divorce themselves from the trans and questioning clan. Why?
Is these rappers really clones, man? I'm really trying to see. Is you the real Gucci, man, or is you just a wannabe? Is you the real Kodak Black? I don't know, just let me know. Cause how this industry be moving, you can have like 2 or more. That NBA be looking fishy, how they move in synchronicity. That shit look like 2K, I swear I do not see the difference. Who that nigga in the crowd? LeBron James, how the fuck? The way I'm spotting all these clothes, I really think I need a bump. Politicians wearing face masks, trying to fake the funk. Joe Biden, I know that's not you, cause...
And when his partners refused to pay what was owed, they killed him and hid his body far off in the woods.
He didn't want this tattoo, but boy.
Rapper Kodak Black is proving not all rappers are done with their money. Check this out. Platinum Sun rappers spent 1.8...
Welcome to the world, everybody. I'ma paint you black and white. I'ma make you hate each other so that everyone will fight. I'ma give you our religion, let the righteous find the light, but I will also...
The illegal trade of human body parts is worth billions of dollars around the world.
This was Ryan Singh.
All right, ladies, listen up. Due to the...
If you arrive here illegally, you will not be... Did you know? Call of Duty Warzone 2 is literally turning cheaters into memes. Ricochet Anti-Cheat is now trolling cheaters in a variety of creative ways. For example, cheaters might suddenly find their prey invisible, or they might find regular players protected by an impenetrable shield. Both of these are humiliating, but my favorite has to be the disarm process. This forces the cheater to put away their weapon, leaving them looking as ridiculous as their newfound damage output. I'm curious though, what other punishments do you think devs should create in the future?
Yo, so my dumbass has been sitting here eating these damn gummies.
Mariana's a gangster. She found that there was LA cops that were selling guns to the Mexican cartels.
Why don't men leave when they're unhappy?
We caught the ops at the garage, and I did this.
Hell no. To the no. Keep fucking scrolling if you're sensitive, because this shit's about to get real. The only reason why you're not hitting your goals is because of your shitty fucking mindset. It's got nothing to do with your lack of time. It's got nothing to do with your shitty situation. It's got nothing to do with any of
no, human.
Nice to meet you.
You don't know me, human.
No handshake for you.
You only know what human wants. You don't know what I want. A god. A corrupt god.
Crazy Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse theory? That's one movie I am super excited for. Yeah, so we all know that Miles is from Earth 1610, and he was bit by a radioactive spider, but what if I told you that he was actually not supposed to be bit, and he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man at all? What? So throughout the Spider-Verse movies, whenever we see a character that doesn't belong in that universe, and they're not supposed to be there, they start dying and glitching out. Just like when we see all the Spider-Man variants in Miles' universe. New Spider-Verse movie, Spider-Man 2099, is going to be chasing Miles and trying to capture him. And Miles is the only Spider-Man that's not allowed to be in the Spider-Force. But they allow Gwen to be in the Spider-Force. But there's a reason why that they're not saying. Even the creators of the Spider-Verse movie are saying that the big secret is why Miles is not able to join the Spider-Force. Yeah, why isn't he a part of it? There's a theory that the reason why Miles can't join the Spider-Force is because he was actually bit by a spider that doesn't belong to his universe. Because we see the spider that bit Miles actually starts glitching out, showing that they don't belong to that universe that Miles is in. Everything that's in the incorrect universe will start to glitch because it's not supposed to be there. So that means Miles actually has powers that belongs to a different universe, and he really shouldn't be Spider-Man at all. And this is causing a bunch of issues across the Spider-Verse, and that's why he can't join the Spider-Force. I completely forgot about the spider scene. Do you know the crazy spider...
This creator, he made an AI-generated Seinfeld.
If you have a problem,
Futuristic cities in movies always seem so fake to me. But did you know in the 19...
Hey y'all, so I want y'all to check this video out.
I asked the dev of Demonologist about the hole in the hospital bathroom.
Also, what's this? Does this do anything, or is this just a creepy hole? Secret, but it does something. Alright, well, how about this? Take that, Satan! Does it have something to do with the writing around the outside of it? Like, is it a cipher? Silent Hill? Necronomica? Does it involve something?
The special and collector's edition of Grand Theft Auto 5 comes with a map that has...
That's it. I want off this freaking planet. I was hoping I would have like an update for y'all on the contents of the manifesto.
I have no bun.
This is worse. Pause and read.
Bro, stop laughing.
Some people wanting to kill you.
Bro, stop laughing.
Wait, boy. Oh my God!
When our children tell us who they...
men just kill themselves and no one...
Blue states, I swear I'm addicted to blue states. I gotta stick to this paper like Blueface. Bitch, I'm writing up laws, it's a new case. Blue states, I swear I'm addicted to blue states. I gotta stick to this paper like Blueface. Bitch, I'm writing up laws, it's a new case. Blue states, I swear I'm addicted to blue states. I gotta stick to this paper.
If you ever want to cause an argument with somebody over no fucking reason, ask them what their favorite color is, and then when they ask you what your favorite color is, tell them that your favorite color is clear. And then watch their brain just turn the fuck off. Most of the time, they're going to tell you that clear isn't a color. My response to that is, oh, can you tell when a glass cup is in front of you? And they say, yeah. And then tell them, okay, that's because you can see the color clear. And then they're going to get mad as fuck every time. Whenever somebody pisses you off, whenever you're at their house, just go to their toilet and piss in the back part of their toilet. That little, like, water refill set.
What? अबे मेरी गाड़ी पे बैठ के फोटो करा रहा है, मुझसे पूछ रहा क्या हो गया?
Oh, you need to eat because you're hungry. Let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West. A state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a slug to your chest. Like the best for you. Let me welcome everybody.
We are the mind, not the body family.
Watch this.
You wonder why he's insecure. He's
Man, grab by the neck.
You beat the roll out, fool! It's Mo! It's me, Carl!
This generation is fucked up. If you do drugs or smoke, you're an addict.
We're in this very strange existential crisis as a civilization.
Call of Duty movement is getting so out of hand. It does.
Vikings did not believe in them.
Go to bed.
Wow, that's so cold in here. A pit bull came in, one of those big jack pit.
Welcome back to the Black Eyed Fairy Radio Hour, the show for monsters, monster hunters, and everything.
Can we get rid of the you mature with age concept? Because you don't. I've seen 50-year-old men that have been handed absolutely everything that they've ever needed in life have the mental capacity of a 15-year-old. And I've seen 15-year-olds with the mental capacity.
This is what prison in Finland.
Can we get rid?
This is what.